I don't think the Mk7 Volkswagen Golf R needs any introduction really. It was arguably the best all-round hot hatch when it was released, with almost supercar performance for about, I think it was 35 grand when it first came out. Is it still as impressive in 2013? Nearly 8-9 years old. Let's find out. The R gets the slightly more aggressive features, front bumper, side skirts, roof spoiler. It also gets the rear bumper with the quite distinguishable quad exhaust at the back to distinguish the car itself from the base models and even the Golf GTI. The GTI is arguably the better looking of the two between the R, but I would talk about that another day. I don't think the styling's dated at all since it came out in 2014. You get a really nice, clean, tidy one of these, they still look excellent. This one's been fitted with an aftermarket diffuser from Maxton, I believe, which really does turn the aggression at the back of the car up to 11. It's also been fitted with an aftermarket back box with the larger tips on the exhaust, which do look really good, to be honest, but it's quite loud, so won't need to decide over this drive whether it's been a worthwhile upgrade or not. The car's also been lowered on what I believe is quite rare and expensive Volkswagen racing suspension setup, so springs and dampers from Volkswagen. They're quite firm, if I'm honest, but there's no doubt they help control any movement in the car. They really, everything's quite sharp and direct. It really does make you feel like you're connected to everything with the car. I've also got a Volkswagen Racing intake on the front of the car, which I believe is another expensive and rare item, but just another one of those things to add a wee bit of character to a car that has sometimes been criticised of being a bit boring and unexciting to drive. Adding a wee bit of noise and theatre to the experience certainly helps. I think aside from this one being absolutely battered with stone chips, it is still a really, really good looking car overall. Jumping inside the Mk7 Golf R, I think you'd be hard pushed to know if the car wasn't released inside the last 12 months, to be honest with you. This piano black interior, nice crisp clear gauges, even though these are analog gauges now and most modern cars are moving to a digital setup with the dash. They look really, really classy, really, really upmarket, and there's a real sense of quality and luxury about them, if I'm honest. They've really worn well over the years. This car in particular is in really good shape inside. The centre console and switchgear is, again, it hasn't aged even a day. It's all in really good condition in here, but just the overall look and aesthetic of the car, it still feels a really premium, high quality vehicle inside. It's aged really, really well. Like I said, if you didn't know, I think you'd be hard pushed to guess this car wasn't released inside the last 12 months. This car's been fitted with I believe it's optional leather seats throughout. I know the base car, I think the base car comes with the white cloth seats, which I think look really good, to be honest with you, but in terms of modern comforts, heated seats is one of the few things I would be almost certain to demand when buying a newer car. So I think that means you're by default having to take leather seats. I don't believe there's many manufacturers offering heated cloth seats. I don't know what the reason for that would be, and I could be wrong, but you certainly don't see many of them if there are. So we've got we have the seats, the leather seats in here with the heated option, and they are lovely. Space is pretty good inside the Golf, as you'd expect from being one of the most sensible hot hatches. You'll easily fit 4 adults in the car. Depending on size though, I mean, you wouldn't want to sit in the back for too long, to be honest, especially if the driver or front passenger's quite tall. This car being the 3-door, it is slightly less practical obviously than the 5-door car, but it is certainly the better looking of the 2 cars. It's just, it's down to yourself and whether you really have to have that extra bit of practicality from the 2 extra rear doors, or you can live with the 3. Given the choice, I would certainly take the 3-door. As standard, these came with 300 horsepower from the factory. And while I can't ever recall anyone complaining about the lack of performance in the car, with how readily available tunes are for this engine, you'd be hard pushed to find one now that is running the standard power. And this one's no exception. It's running a stage 2 remap with the matching gearbox software, so it's certainly no slouch. Does the exhaust sound better? I'm not so sure. Despite having, amazing measurable performance, one of the most common complaints about the car was the lack of feel or excitement or drama, because it is so capable. And with this DSG gearbox, your input into the performance of the car does feel a bit minimal. You have to steer and put your right foot down is pretty much it, and it will take off. But with the couple of changes made to this car, the exhaust, the intake, the remapped ECU and gearbox, it helps bring it or add some of that excitement to the drive. You need to be alert because it is so quick, especially at lower speeds when you put the foot down. The Haldex system in these Volkswagen Audi cars is incredible, and it just takes off. You've got to be alert at all times. Cars that have remained standard and free from any software calibrations are certainly going to command a premium over time. But if this is your car and you're not worried about resale values or things like that, and you just want the best driving experience, I would certainly recommend getting the ECU calibrated and going for that extra performance and excitement. In terms of faults, although I'm not a specialist in Volkswagen Audi cars, I don't recall reading too many continuously reoccurring faults, the same fault repeatedly. The cam follows, I believe, is a serviceable item that you should keep on top of, and a lot of people don't, can then lead to some issues. On this car specifically, Jordan's ran into a broken spring, or maybe more than one broken spring, and the Pretoria alloys in this car, they're notorious for cracking. That is the only thing. And although not a mechanical fault, it's certainly, if you want these wheels, which are the best looking wheels, be prepared to be fixing them at some point. And by fixing I mean welding. To answer the question at the beginning of the video, is the Mk7 Golf R still as impressive today as it was when released new in 2014? Without a doubt, yes. And given, a few small changes and upgrades, you can certainly bring the car up to modern performance or even exceeding it, and add a little excitement and drama back into the drive that the performance really suggests that it should have. If you're looking at buying one, I wouldn't hesitate.